Eating Soup Alone is a podcast hosted by me, Christopher Crumley, and co-hosted by Nicholas Johnson. We try our best to ramble incoherently about a handful of movies at least once a week.
And, it's been a while, but I was like, oh, right, I'm a person who has no control.
Yes.
With the Oreo.
Yeah.
And I ate like the whole box of Oreos, and it's fucked me up for like 3 days.
Yeah. Can relate. But I'm not going to get into it. Because this one I want it to be no fat, okay?
I was going to say, this episode, no cuts, no edits. We're just going to run straight through. You touch that mic, you bump anything, it's staying in.
Yeah. So, welcome back to Big Bad Bond, the Bondathon. I'm making this pledge, and maybe, Nick, you want to make it with me? I'm saying
Sure.
until we finish all the Bond movies, there will be one Bond a week this whole year.
Oh, I'd love that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so mark my words. This week it's Goldfinger.
It's my favorite part.
The song?
Maybe, because it might be the only part I remember. I would, if we're going to do the Bonds, I would like to try something every episode.
Shoot.
Before we pull up these Wikipedia pages, which are a necessity for these movies.
Yeah.
Chris, real quick,
Yeah.
what happened in Goldfinger?
Okay, Goldfinger. This is the third one in the series. And before I get into exactly what happened, I do want to say this is the only one I've seen before. I saw it literally. I went to Florida the week before the pandemic lockdown happened.
Oh, I thought you were going to say before this movie came out.
and I watched it with my grandfather. That's funny. I do want to start by saying, thinking back to this one, the formula is already super apparent. Like, I love how there's always the lady, and this one is Pussy Galore, who's like, I need to get revenge on this villain, and then they end up hanging out, whatever. But anyway, so what happens in this one? We start out, and I was kind of in and out in this one. I would say I don't like this one necessarily as much as like From Russia with Love.
Oh, yeah.
But I do think that Goldfinger's like plot is good, because I don't remember what the plot was in the last one. I remember it had to do with nukes also, I think, or something.
Sure.
I don't know.
No, I think that was Dr. No.
Dr. No.
Hell, it could. I bet you we're going to find that
I do like
more
the
than
vibe.
Less, most of these are nuke-based.
These movies have got a good vibe.
Oh, yeah,
I love the vibe. I'm not mad at the vibe. But it's just like, okay, so yeah, what happens? He starts out, he's underwater, he's in a wetsuit, and then he's in a full suit at a party. And he did what, though? I can't remember that part.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Don't remember what he did at the party.
I remember going, he's going to take that wetsuit off, and there's going to be a tuxedo underneath.
Yeah.
And there was.
Classic.
I was just so elated by
shot.
that I didn't remember what happened. The next thing I remember, a lady was gold.
Yeah, for sure. Super awesome. He does that. You're right. He goes home with a lady, and I love this.
Yeah, he goes home, and there's just a lady there. Yeah.
But in the reflection of her eyes, iris, he sees a man coming up to attack him, and he throws her in his way. She gets knocked out. Then this movie, the theme in this one, disrespect.
It really is.
I know this man tried to take his life, which is arguably the most disrespectful thing you do, but he then pushes him fully clothed into a full bath of water, which is some top-tier disrespect.
Yeah, and then throws like a toaster into it or something like that.
Yeah.
And what's his one-liner? I can't remember.
He said, Ruh-roh. Yeah. Because he says one thing. He says, like, nah, stew's done, or whatever, and then she wakes up and he's like, hey, you better check the oven because the stew's done.
Yeah,
like,
he refines it when she wakes up. Yeah. It's like, I want to say it's bathtub related, but it's not. Like, it's not as, like, I want to say clean or like very clean. Yeah.
Crispy or something.
Yeah.
Roasted. Something like that. We got the general idea down, though. So then he goes and he reports to
M.
Okay, yes. And Moneypenny, right, is there. And she's like, when are you going to marry me? And he's like, oh, I reckon I could probably find some time for it someday.
It's yucky.
Yeah.
I love these two, though. I don't know why.
I do. It's just yucky because he's going around being like, ha, 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 you're 19. I'm going to hold you down in some barn hay. And
it's bad because we know his track
It's him
record.
that's the bad part about it. Like, if he was just a guy who was like, you know what, Moneypenny, I really would like to settle down with you. And then he wasn't, like, also, like, just an actual, like, rapist running around in the night, you know?
But I like their dynamic of, like, when are you going to marry me? And, like, they're, like, so aggressively flirting with each other.
Yeah.
And that's the joke because they're not going to actually...
Yeah.
Because they're boss and employee, which is what makes it icky. But also it feels like she's initiating it, but also she knows that her boss is serial sexual assailant to James Bond. So
because it's just one of those things where it's like, like when someone finds out, like, man, my husband of 30 years was John Wayne Gacy, womp womp, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, if only she knew the guy that she was like, when are you gonna put a rig on me? But anyway.
But also I feel like she knows the guy. It's like, well, we'd let him kill anyone he wants. Yeah, like, he doesn't have a license to defend himself. He can just kill someone if he feels like it. So I'm gonna guess he's probably not the most consenting adult. Yeah.
Well, anyway, so what happens next is he goes. It's like a cruise at first. He goes to see Goldfinger on a cruise. Okay, and he's playing like backgammon or something. I don't know what the fuck he's playing.
Was it shuffleboard? No, shuffleboard's the next movie.
Yeah. So he's playing a game and he's cheating to win, and he's using an attractive young lady spying from his hotel room on his opponent's cards to win the game because he hates losing. Bond shows up to that apartment and he's like, "It's me, Goldfinger, James Bond. You're going to start losing. Well, about 10,000 to start." And he's like, ha ha ha. That'll keep him busy for a while. Mm-hmm. They have sex. But then when he wakes up in the morning... No, he doesn't wake up in the morning. He gets judo chopped. When he's like looking in for a late night snack in the fridge, someone chops him and he falls asleep, and then he wakes up and he's like, "Okay, lady, where are you, woman?" Because he doesn't know anybody's name.
Okay, I must have like looked away for a second because from my memory, they bang. He gets out of bed, goes and fills up an ice bucket down the hall, and then comes back and she's covered in gold.
No,
but that
judo
makes sense that he's judo chopped. Yeah.
Yeah, and so she's fully covered in gold, which doesn't happen ever again. It's fun, it's cool, and I will say in the beginning, another thing I want to give props to the movie for is the intro, where they're like just playing scenes from other Bond movies, I guess, or whatever, like over women painted in gold in a dark room, and it's just like Goldfinger.
Yeah, I feel like they might have done it for one of the other ones as well, like projected scenes from the movie onto a woman. Mm-hmm. But I mean, comparing them with like the newer ones that we get, because every movie has these crazy long intros, I feel like they're exactly like if you showed me the one from Spectre and went, okay, now do this with no money and like the technology from 1964, I would probably end up with, even if I didn't see these ones, I'd probably end up going, okay, well, I guess I'll project some stuff onto a naked woman because that's all this really is. Yeah. And so I do like them. They feel inventive, as well as, hey, this is my summary for all these other James Bond movies. This feels really inventive, but also aggressively misogynistic in a way that I felt like you went out of your way to be so. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like I said, the vibe, like, this is fun. I do like a James Bond movie, but it is one of those things where it's like, I don't know, just checking out at a certain point. It's definitely making me appreciate Indiana Jones more, oddly. I think I talked about this last episode,
Yeah, it really does.
But anyways, so in this film, Cooper's also playing with a toy, so that might show up in the mix. That's my cat. But anyways, so he does that. The dead body thing happens, and then he goes to meet Goldfinger on a golf course, and they play a round with.
Yeah, I forgot about all this about like 4 gold. Yeah, because he's like, I don't want to play with you, and he throws this big block of gold at him. Because that's right, M gave him a block of gold because. This is really what I wanted you to do. Okay. But you're knocking this out of the park better than I thought you would. Okay. I was like basically like, hey, what's Goldfinger's plan in this movie? What is James Bond trying? What is he trying to prevent? Yeah. Because when I think about Russia with Love or Dr. No or even any of the newer ones I've seen, when I think about the bad guy's plan, I'm like,
Yeah, no, Goldfinger's the one that's knocking out of the park for sure. That's his thing's on lock. So to cover that really quick, he deals in gold. His thing is that he can buy gold, like let's say in just for whatever, I can't remember exactly what, like Iran for $3 an ounce, but then he takes it to somewhere like Belgium where there's less gold and it's like $40 an ounce and makes a profit, right? So he's already dealing in gold. And the big thing that the MI6 is trying to crack him on is how is he transporting it, right? And so at a certain point, James Bond finds that out. After they play the golf, he like goes back to wherever, whatever, and he's spying on Goldfinger, talking to that guy about Operation Grand Slam. And what they're doing is they're melting down his gold and they're replacing entire sections of his Rolls Royce with solid gold so they can take it across like country lines in Europe and stuff like that.
That's pretty sick.
So badass. And but basically the ultimate goal though is that he's being paid by the Chinese government to weaken the Western economy's like supply of gold. They're supplying him with a bomb. He's going to break into Fort Knox by giving everybody a Sleepy Girl mocktail. And inside of the big vault, he's going to let a dirty nuke go off. It's going to contaminate the gold for like 57 years. And it's like the majority of the world's gold supply. So all the gold supply that's not tainted is suddenly going to skyrocket in value. So the Chinese benefit because now the Western economy is weakened and their economy is strengthened. And also Goldfinger deals in gold, so his gold will also be worth lots of money.
Wow, look at you.
It's genius.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it would actually work. I don't know
probably not,
in real life if that's how that works. But in terms of a plot for a movie or whatever, like a motivation for a villain, love it. This is going to be my favorite by far of the Bonds so far in terms of like the villain being like... Because even he's fun. He's like, you expect me to talk? He's like, no, Bond, I expect you to die.
Yeah. Again, a classic line that like...
Yeah.
That's one of those, like, when we watched The Wizard of Oz, I think I said it, like, when she goes, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore, I, like, instinctively roll my eyes, and then I go, oh, no. But it's so strange to hear it, like, or unironically.
Authentic, like, not in a reference to something. This is just someone wrote that on a page,
And that's exactly how I felt about this, when he's like, what, do you expect me to talk? You know it's coming, but when he goes, and you're right, he's got a little laugh where he's like, no, I expect you to die. It's like, God, that's so sick. That's so hard. It's such a good line.
Or later on, when he shows up, when like the Americans show up to defend like the Fort Knox, and he just takes off his suit like the beginning of the movie, and he's just wearing an American suit underneath. He was like, over there, and they're like, huh? And he's like, bang, 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 bang.
Yeah, he comes out and runs at them dressed like a sergeant or whatever, but he still has a solid gold gun in his hand.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. He's also he's a doofy guy.
Yeah.
Like when we first see him and he's playing cards, I thought like, oh, we'll figure out
who the real bad guy is eventually.
Yeah, eventually.
Yes.
Because I was like, this man's silly, and I love him. And I was like, oh, no, he's Goldfinger.
Yeah. He gives me, just probably because he's a redhead with pale skin, like kind of fat bastard vibes.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically where we were at in my usual rundown, they were playing golf. Bond beats him by basically like being like, oh, looks like you got me by 1 point, except, oh, that's not your ball from earlier. And like, I know it's supposed to be him being clever, and it is clever, but it's also one of those things where it's like, semantics. You're going to pull the semantics card,
Yeah.
Like, that's so nerdy to be like, oh, by traditional golf rules, you don't. Like, so British.
It is.
It's
so British. It's so golf, and I understand, especially if you're playing for a bar of gold.
Yeah.
I'm going to be as semantic about it as possible.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. But it would just be like, and I get it, like, this is over the top, but it's almost like, man, you're James Bond. Can you just be better at golf? Like, not know the rules more,
He's like, no, I'm really good at pranks. So, like, that's what this whole scene felt like. It's like, I
know how to pull one over on a guy.
Exactly. It's like, I'm not sure you're really getting as much information as quickly and efficiently as you can be right now. I think, you are just pranking this man, really.
Yeah.
Again,
just so that goes on for a long time, and again, it's just one of those things where it's you just said it. It's kind of just disrespectful. It's not really like, oh, Bond's cool in this scene. It's just like, whatever. So, anyways, that happens, and then he follows Goldfinger around like the Swiss Alps or something for a while.
It might have been cooler, the golf scene.
Yeah.
We might have liked it a little bit better if he had it on a different hat.
Yeah, he's kind of dressed like 1950s Frank Sinatra right before I feel like he got totally Rat Pack cool, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's...
Just the hat.
1-to-1.
Silly.
Absolutely,
he just sounds like he makes music for like your mom and dad to like read the paper to on Sunday, Yeah. But anyway, so now he's following through the Swiss Alps. He meets an attractive lady, and he's like, I'm going to run her off the road and do a rape. But then he's like, he literally says out loud to himself, he's like, come on now, Bondy, lock in.
Yeah.
And he focuses on the main mission, which is usually for him rape, but he's like, I got a job to do. I'll do that later.
Yeah, Oh, yeah, she shoots at him. No, she shoots at Goldfinger and misses and almost hits him.
And he thinks she's trying to kill him.
Mm-hmm. And then so he's like, all right, I'll run her off the road. And that grease contraption comes out of his car. Mm-hmm. Like in Grease. Mm-hmm. It's the last time you saw Grease.
Nah, God. So young.
Does this happen in Grease, or am I making this up?
I don't know. You keep saying that, but I haven't seen Grease recently enough to verify.
I think they're racing in Grease, and one of the bad guys, Craterface, goes and pushes a button on his car, and a little spinny thing comes out of the wheel and cuts out their tire. But he does it to her, explodes the front tire, which is all you need to do.
Yeah. Destroys the body of her car.
Destroys the body of her car, and then destroys the back.
$9,000 of damage.
Exactly. And she's in a ditch, and he goes, oh, shucks, what happened? Oh, looks like both of your tires blew out.
Yeah. I would look at that and be like, no, it looks like someone contraptioned my shit. Look at this.
Exactly. It's like there's a monster bite out of the center of my car.
Yeah. Someone hollowed my shit out.
Exactly. So, just next time, Jim, just blow out the first one.
Yeah. It was a little disrespectful.
It really was, yeah.
So anyways, that happens. He takes her to a gas station, and then he's like, oh, duty calls, and goes off for Goldfinger. That's when he spies. I think he spies this night. He finds, like, his melting down facility or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then, when does he get captured? Does he get captured then?
Yes. Oh, before he leaves her.
Okay.
I think he tries to, like, stay with her. And she very adamantly is like, no, leave me the fuck alone. Yeah. Because I know you're James Bond 007 and you know
you're on a list.
Yeah. Yeah. But he says the coolest shit that you can ever say to somebody that you know you'll never see again.
Yeah, what did he say?
He gets in his car and goes, all right, don't forget to write. And then drives off. Yeah. Like, so cool. So cool.
So he gets trapped, and another classic. Here's a home run grand slam. He gets put on the slab, the laser slab. Yeah, so laser slab is good.
Or does Pussy Galore kidnap him when he's looking through the little building?
Could happen. I don't remember.
Okay.
Not going to lie to you. This part, there's a gap in my brain.
Well, this is the most disrespectful part of the movie.
Oh, no, that's later. I know what you're thinking about. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
That's when he's already captive, I think. No, that might be when he gets held captive. Yeah, what you're talking about, we'll just jump there.
Because he's wearing a gray suit there, and then when he's on the table, he's wearing like that all black jumpsuit. So I don't think they would have put him in that and then put him on the table.
So he's spying on... Yeah, so let's just go there, because I really don't know what happens next too much, except other than he does some more spying. He's watching Goldfinger from underneath Goldfinger's, like, Fort Knox Dollarama. What do you call those things? Diorama. Is it a diorama?
Yeah.
Huh. I think I called it a Dollarama. Anyways, so he's spying from underneath that thing, and yes, the pinnacle of disrespect happens. He's on top of a thing so that Pussy Galore can easily just grab both of his ankles and yank him, like he falls face forward. Like
and it's so funny. And then he gets up, and there's two guys with guns behind her. She's like, all right, let's go, which means she didn't need to do that. They're not fighting. She's not getting the jump on him in that way. Yeah. She literally could have just been like, hey, turn around.
Yeah, exactly.
But she probably turned around and went, why she pulled this guy's fucking pants down?
Yeah, hilarious. Very funny, very funny. He gets put on the slab. Classic line, I expect you to die. He talks his way out of it again. And again, that's, to go back to the golf thing, it's one of those things where, like, quintessential to the character is him getting one over on people and, like, kind of just being a bit of a Bugs Bunny. Mm-hmm. But, like I said, I'm not really into, like, oh, it's the fourth hole, so if you can't get it in 2 strokes, then legally, if we're looking at the book, I should get 2 more attempts on my ball.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not... But, so, yeah, basically what happens on the slab is he bluffs his way into getting let go, because he's only heard Grand Slam. And he says, like, I know things about Grand Slam. And Goldfinger is like, you know nothing. You may have overheard those words in a conversation, but you know nothing of the project.
I love that, too. It's like, oh, man, you nailed it. I love that.
Yes. And he goes, but can you afford to take that risk? And he thinks for a minute, and he's like, turn the fucking laser off. Anyways, so eventually...
I also love that the laser is...
Dastardly,
but he has it to cut the doors open at Fort Knox.
Yeah.
Like, it's not there to cut James Bond in half. He's just like, oh, fuck, you know what'd be cool? If we tell James Bond we're going to cut him in half with this thing.
Yeah.
It's great.
And so what happens next is he's also in America, and I think like the CIA has kind of like got tabs on him because there's those 2 private eye looking guys who keep like just being like, oh, there he is with Goldfinger on his Kentucky ranch. All right, let's go back to headquarters. What? Bust him out, boys. Like, I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe I didn't pay enough attention, but just like there is like 16 scenes where like they're just like 2 cars behind Bond and Goldfinger, and they're like, oh, well, looks like he's taking a left. Let's go back to headquarters.
Well, because didn't they isn't this all a big trick on Goldfinger at this point?
I don't remember. I don't know.
Because he drops the sleepy girl gas, and then everyone goes, oh, all right, let's get in there. We're not actually asleep.
Oh, is that true?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
So
this part I can't verify. I don't know. But basically, so they're just hanging out drinking iced tea on this plantation, basically, for a long time. Then there's the rape scene with James Bond and Pussy Galore that we don't really have to go over.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, if you want to go into detail, you can. But it's just...
I just want to, for a minute, express the lengths that these filmmakers go to try and convince you that that's not what's happening.
Yeah.
First off, they go into a barn.
Yeah.
And my first thought is, it smells like horseshit in here. It has to. Why would you be?
Yeah.
Why would you set this quote unquote romantic scene in a barn? Because that's all I can think about.
Sure.
The reason they're doing it is so when she is fighting for her life and they're
No one
flipping
can
each other
stop them,
around,
yeah.
no one's really getting hurt because they're getting thrown into a bunch of hay.
Yeah.
And then like there's like this sweet romantic music playing over it.
Yeah.
And it is the most egregious one of these scenes I've seen ever in my life.
Period. Yeah.
Of the like, oh well, that doesn't really hold up today. It's like, oh man, I can't imagine this holding up
In
like,
1967.
It's mind-boggling
Yeah.
in 1967 because
Yeah.
the entire time, she's like actively trying to fight him, and
Yeah.
there's never a minute where she just goes, "Oh, I can't take it anymore. Take me, Bond." And
Yeah.
it's like, no, she's upset about it until we're done, until we leave.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's all
It reminds
I'd
me
like
of
to say.
the Watchmen rape.
Yeah.
So, anyways, after that happens, they launch Operation Pollute the Gold with the Sleepy Girl drink and we kind of covered this earlier. Maybe they're pretending, like you said, I can't remember offhand. And he's got his whole get-up over top of his other get-up with the golden gun and the bang bang. And, Bond is locked in the vault with the gold with Oddjob, and then they have a very quiet fight.
Oh, wow. I totally forgot about Oddjob in this movie.
Yeah. And he has to, defuse the bomb. He does defuse the bomb. And that stuff's all good. I mean, I kind of checked out a little bit this watch round, but, I remember it all very vividly from the first time I watched it. Because at this point, it's like, oh, my God, he's in there with the, is he going to escape? And so, yeah, it's good. And then, most of these movies, he defuses it, and then it just kind of hard cuts to everybody being like, ha, 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 good job, Bond. Glad you could save the day. And then somehow he's parachuting out of the plane because he gets in the plane, everything's supposed to be okay, but it's a bait and switch. Instead, Goldfinger comes out, and he's like, you son of a bitch, you fucked my whole thing up. And he's like, Goldfinger, I don't think it's very smart to fire a gun instead of a plane. And he does, and his fat ass gets sucked out a window. And then him and Pussy Galore are like, we can't land this plane. And so they eject, whatever. They jump out of the motherfucking thing or whatever. And then they have sex in the hills. This time it seems much more consensual. And credits. And I'll also say there's the point in the movie, kind of like The Dark Knight, where Lucius Fox is like, or maybe it's Batman Begins, where he's like, look at this. It's called the tumbler. He gets that rundown, and he's like, don't press that button because it'll eject the chair right out of the top of the motherfucker. But it never happened.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. He never uses the ejector seat. Yeah. He uses that little tracker that you slide open all the time, and then it has smaller ones, just all, he pulls some out of his shoe, and then his jacket, and... Yeah, you're right. He never uses the ejector seat. I didn't even think about that.
Planting a seed. Let's see how many movies until we get the ejector seat.
Yeah. All the stuff on the plane, and then them in the hills... I don't remember any of that.
Yeah.
I can't even picture it.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Huh. I do remember earlier him being on a plane with Pussy Galore, and he has a 5 o'clock shadow. Just the grossest looking thing you've ever seen on a man is Sean Connery with 5 o'clock shadow. And she points a gun at him, and he goes, are you going to shoot me out of plane? You're going to shoot me out of plane and get sucked out of the side of the plane. Yeah. So it is fun to hear that that's how this movie ends that I saw.
Yeah, I will say this does feel like a much more refined version of the first two Bond movies that we saw. Mm-hmm. In the sense that the first two were much more boring, much more dialogue driven, much more unclear about what are people's motivations and goals. This one's much more clear, and the scenes are, in my opinion, just kind of more simplified. You can visually look at what's happening on the screen and be like, okay, they're playing golf. Yeah. I get that. Yeah. Okay, he's spying on Goldfinger. I get that. So yes.
Yeah.
Is this necessarily my favorite? Like I said, I don't know. There's something about the last two that I really would like to even rewatch. There's something about those first two that I do think about often. But yeah, like I said, I would also say cons, this is probably the grossest one because it has just what is not even misogyny, it's just full-blown rape.
Yeah.
But overall, this one, I went back and I looked as we go through our Bond-a-thon. So far, I've given From Russia with Love and Dr. Noah B. And Goldfinger, I think it's an improvement, definitely. But not. I don't think I like him more than the other two, and for that reason, I feel like. If I'm being objective, it should get a higher grade. But I think I'm just going to keep it at B for now.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go triple B for Bon Bon Bon.
Bang, bang, bang,
Didn't
bon,
even
bon, bon.
mean to do that intentionally.
Bish, bash, boosh.
Yeah, but we're three bonds deep, and we got 3 Bs. You have given From Russia with Love a B, and Dr. No, you give a C.
Okay.
And so, how do you feel about Goldfinger?
I like Goldfinger quite a bit. I think this is the last two are, Black Christmas and Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, kind of like,
This one is
prototype.
Halloween, where it like creates the formula of James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
But even that being said, and I agree with everything you said for the positives of this one, I don't know. This movie's just the vibes themselves are.
There's just something about him hanging out in Kentucky.
Yeah,
on the farm and golfing, and it's just like this isn't as cool as like From Russia with Love. Like again, like I know that's the only thing I can really remember, but like him fighting guys on a train in Europe, is like way cooler than like
and
hanging out on a plantation drinking iced tea. With...
Exactly, yeah, and that's something that like really, I don't know, like Russia with Love feels like it is missing a lot of stuff, but it has a lot of stuff in it that I can like call back to and be like, oh wow, that was really
cool,
and like these invented the action movie, so like that fight on that train is really sick, and then you get to this one and him and Oddjob fight each other, and they're kind of just like pushing each other on the ground over and over again, and it's really lame and it's really boring to watch. And it's like, man, one of maybe the best fights I've ever seen in a movie happened in the last one, which is crazy to think about. And I mean Goldfinger's cool. I mean Goldfinger's not cool, which I think is pretty cool. And I can't remember what the bad guy in From Russia with Love even looks like, but I do remember Dr. No.
Doesn't this universe's Dr. Evil show up in the last one? Like at the very last scene?
Oh,
don't you like see him like?
Yeah, I think you've seen Pet a Cat. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
So I'm excited to get to that.
Yeah. Do you know who that guy is? Like who plays him?
Donald Pleasance.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so Donald, my brother, we did the Jeopardy last time, and I remember him making note of that, where he was like, the credits even say like with legendary actor, every like write up says with every legendary actor Donald Pleasance. He's like, who is this guy? And I'm like, oh, he's a big deal, buddy. But anyways, so yeah, what's the next one?
Thunderball,
which
people don't like.
Underwater, it takes place, but you have to give your grade. You haven't actually graded it yet.
I'd give it a C+. I put it right
C+?
between these two. Yeah,
splitting the diff. I get you.
I'm sure we had another list. I'll have to find it because I forgot until right now. Of like ranking other Bond stuff, like
like his gadgets and shit like that.
Yeah, so I'll make sure to listen to an old one and Next time we do this, I'll
I mean
make
the Bondathon was impromptu. I kind of sprung that on you. I want to do something we usually do at the end, but early. Select some movies for the next one. Locking in with Thunderball. Right.
Corrected window.
Do you want to pick the other one, or do you mind if I had something in mind already? Or
what'd you have in mind?
What I had in mind is just the other day I made a poor financial decision and I spent about $45 in VHS tapes. And lots of them are wonderful films I'd love to do for the podcast because they're going to be great for ratings. For sure, a bunch of people are going to listen to the Goldfinger and My Bloody Valentine episode. And for sure, next week, people will definitely want to listen to Thunderball. And I was thinking The Nightwalker, which is a movie from 1964, I believe. It came out 5 years after Psycho, and it's written by the guy who wrote Psycho.
Okay.
And it's like a big-time cult thing where like it's like not cult in the sense of like it's so silly and campy, but like it's genuinely like, how is this thing forgotten? I don't know anything about it other than like people are genuinely like, this is for sure something like worth seeing.
Okay.
So yeah,
I don't hate that.
Yeah,
I could definitely do that. My pick was gonna be, I was gonna make you watch Saw. Because I've had a hankering for Saw because I want to see it.
We can do Saw instead. We'll do The Nightwalker another time.
Because I haven't seen it in forever, but I'm not going to watch Saw by myself because I'm not a pervert.
I've never seen Saw in my life.
I know, and you have been pretty resistant to it. We can call the episode Thunder Saw, which I think is pretty cool.
My only thing is that I'm going to preemptively pick the next episode.
Or
we're going to watch The Abominable Dr. Phoebes.
This is a big...
I'm pretty locked in with Saw, but go ahead. You can say to me things, but Saw's already cemented in my mind. But go ahead.
Sorry, got a text from my mom.
Brain done.
I was gonna say, what if we do? We could do 3. Okay.
Let's lock in at 2.
Okay.
Let's lock in at 2. I know we say at least 2 when we have done more before.
Mm-hmm.
But let's keep it at 2. We can get a little more ambitious with it when I finish up my odd job in the evening times. But anyways, so that's the first movie overdone.
I was gonna do the Goldfinger thing, but with this movie,
too many syllables, though.
Too
yeah,
many singles,
Yeah.
syllables.
Too many singles in our area for that to happen. But this is also reportedly Quentin Tarantino's favorite slasher film.
Oh, that's fun. I could see that.
Yeah,
Hey, spoilers right off the bat.
Yeah.
I like this movie quite a bit.
Yeah, it's not
I had a
bad.
good time with it. Yeah,
it's not bad. As far as slashers go, for sure, this is not bad. 1981, Canada, low budget.
But boy, is it Canada.
Boy, is it Canada indeed. What was I supposed to do? I'm sorry. Full of,
Yeah.
Yes. So anyways, history with this film?
I saw the remake when it came out. Is a tot.
Yeah.
Is a tot? Is that what people? Is that how you call it? Yeah. As a young boy, I saw it with my dad, I believe. And I believe there's a character in that movie who shows up naked and dies naked. Like she's just naked through the whole movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, bricked up next to my dad, so I wasn't stoked about it. So that's all I remember about that.
Why would you do this to me, movie? I can remember probably destroying my mom's laptop just middle of the day during the summer on her laptop, just like Friday the 13th Part 8 Jason Takes Manhattan free movie full, and trying to find them. And this was one of those movies I tried to find, and I maybe found it. Those movies were in such poor quality, but yeah, we just sit there glued to the laptop watching these things. And like I said, I don't think I found it. I don't think I saw it, but I wanted to so bad, and now here we finally are. Finally have seen it. And guess what? I think I'm glad I saw it now, because there are things to appreciate about it, but it's objectively not necessarily like... I don't think if I saw it when I was younger, I would have liked it. Because I probably would have... Because I probably just would have been like, this is just Friday the 13th, but not with cool Jason in it, Which is the thing, but it's also like, yeah, but that's like... That's what this genre of movie is that everybody's trying to do that thing of like
absolutely.
Holiday title, yada, yada, yada. So
I think if this was the first one, the minor would be sick as hell.
Yeah.
But since he's, after Michael and Jason and all that, it's just like, he's kind of, he's so unbelievably generic. But I still like him.
I do, because I've always put him in the generic category, but then like there's the scene in the laundromat where the lights are out, and I'm like, actually, the mine pretty fucking scary. Yeah. If I was watching this alone at night, this would be unnerving.
Oh yeah. And this movie surprisingly got me a few times. With
Did it really?
Like a lot of these slashers, I'm never like. Sometimes I'll go ew, but like I'm never like, oh god. But this like when she comes out of the dryer, I was like, oh Jesus Christ, yeah.
So to start off, it's got the classic Friday the 13th scene. The opening with two people fooling around in the mine shaft, just like in the original. Two camp counselors run upstairs to fool around, and then someone walks in and they're like, we weren't doing anything, and then they get murdered. Same thing, except the lady who's topless gets murdered by the boy, because the boy is actually Harry Warden. Dun, dun, dun. And Harry Warden is our Jason Voorhees, is our Michael Myers. He's a white dude with a proper name who did something bad a while ago, and he got sent off, and now he's supposedly back.
I can't remember who I heard say this, but he has a proper name, but he has a proper little boy's name. Which I like about all these guys: Michael, Jason, Henry, Freddy. It's great.
Yeah. So so I guess like 20 years ago or 15 years ago or whatever, he killed some people, and he was like, if there's ever a Valentine's Day dance again, I'll kill again. And got sent up the river to some psychiatric hospital. Flash forward to today, and for the first time in like 14 years or 20 years, whatever, the little town of Valentine's Bluffs is going to throw their Valentine's Day dance. And I gotta say, from the rip, love the name, love the setting. I love all the Valentine's decorations. This is a very colorful and fun movie to look at. And setting-wise, having it be all these like young 20-somethings who, in my opinion, unlike a lot of the other movies, they're not like morally corrupt.
I was going to say, I like all the citizens of Valentine's Bluff, too. I like all these kids. Yeah,
they're just nice little guys, little kids. They work in the mine. They drink some beers. And really, in like not a shallow or like Like, it doesn't have the cynical element that a lot of, like, American slasher does, where, like, it's like, look how dumb the youth is. All they want to do is smoke weed and fuck each other. Instead, they just seem like honest dudes who are like, yeah, I go to the mine all day, I drink some beers, and then I hang out with the girl I love. Like,
yeah, I think it's great. I think it might be because they're aged up maybe like 5 years, because they're not teenagers at a camp. They're, like, young adults working, but they're all, like, they're not, like, rowdy kids who are just looking for an excuse to get fucked up and fuck each other. They're like... Well, yeah, we're all grown adults, so we'll just do this. Like, they're not even like they're trying to be secret about it because they know people are going to be mad, not because they're going to get in trouble. So, and like, with all that, they're just like, you're right. They're all content with what they have in their lives. They all love their girlfriends. There's that one love triangle, but besides that, there is no conflict between any of these characters, and I love it. Yeah,
like you said, the love triangle, and yes, like, there's the one person who wasn't contented, tried to, like, go to California, didn't work out. What does he say? He says something like, he's like, I totally shit the bed, okay? I can't remember what he says.
Yeah, that's right.
I just dropped the ball, okay? I went out there and I just totally dropped the ball, okay?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry, all right? And she was like, how was I supposed to know you were ever going to come back? But, so he's back, and his girl, while he was gone, met another guy. They were also friends beforehand, because there's that scene where they're in, like, the town junkyard, and he's like, looks like we got a little bit of a conflict on our hands. And he's like, what are we going to do about it? And he's like, I don't know. What are we going to do about it? Whatever. So, yeah, so they hang out, and...
also love them. What are they, lighting doobies off that engine block?
Lighting doobies till it glow like a ruby. But, yes, they are. And then you have the mayor and the sheriff, and you have the lady who owns the laundromat. The lady who owns the laundromat, her favorite thing in the world is making sure this dance happens. The mayor, he's fun, because he's just like a little guy, and he's like, we gotta stop all this. This is, he's like...
Boy, my only thing I like more than Christmas candy is Valentine's candy. Yeah. Isn't it all the same candy?
Yeah, yes, it is. It's fun. And sheriff is kind of funny. He almost has like a Leonard Nimoy thing about him.
He really does.
Yeah. And he loves smoking a pipe. And I can't remember exactly the first kill in the modern time, in the current, like, present tense. What's the first kill? Because I know the mayor gets the heart-shaped box with a heart in it, but whose heart is it? Who gets killed?
I assume the girl at the beginning.
I think that was from 14 years ago or whatever. I thought that was the old one. I thought that was like a flashback thing, but I could be wrong.
Oh, yeah.
I could be totally wrong. I thought that was like a flash-forward thing, but sure. Oh, look at that. I knocked it. But sure. We made it pretty far in without me knocking it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's the signature thing that Harry Warden does, is he sends the box of what should be chocolates to the mayor, and it has a real human heart in it. And also, I should say that while this was happening, I was eating Valentine's chocolates that my mom sent to me and my partner Emily. So that was kind of fun. That was a little touch that was fun for me. And yeah, it's tough. I mean, with the slasher film, I mean, like, truly, scene by scene, what really happens. I know the next thing that happens is Margaret or whatever gets murdered in a laundromat. And as I said a second ago, I love this whole thing because he sneaks in and then he sets out candy hearts for her. She sees it and she's like, Harry, or whatever, whoever's name. This is for me. Where you at? Then he turns out the lights, kind of spooky. And then, like, this whole thing's just shot awesome. Like, she is being chased by him and she's, like, trying to open all the dryer doors into him, and she ends up getting murdered or whatever. And then, yeah, I like the next day when the sheriff goes to check on her, or just talk to her because they're friends, lovers. But everybody's just doing laundry. All the laundry machines are going and stuff like that. And he notices something's wrong. Like, some of, like, the decorations are, like, upside down, and he follows kind of like a clue trail to, like, one specific dryer. And I think he says something like, what's that smell? And he opens it up, and then she's on crispy mode. What?
Go on.
Okay. Then, after that, some other stuff happens. They hang out and stuff like that. Eventually, I think this is the turning point, though. I think this is when the mayor's like, whatever, we're shutting it down. Go lock up the fucking dance hall. So they lock it up, and the kids, at a certain point, eventually are like, hey, let's just have a party in the mine. Great.
I do like that. I was thinking about it because, like, yeah, they're all walking around and like, oh, these guys are going over to the shower and these guys are going to go over to the kitchen and yada yada. I was like, oh man, having a party at the place you work, like a party at your workplace, would be so, I don't want to even say sick. It would just be strange to be like, oh yeah, you're as familiar with this place as you are your home.
Yeah.
And I have no real point to what I'm saying. It's just like, hey, wouldn't it be wild if you were partying at work?
Yeah.
Anyway.
It would be. And so, yeah, that eventually is planned. In the meantime, Does anyone else get murdered?
They have to, because there's he finds the heart outside the sheriff's station,
Right.
and that leads me to the dogs in this movie are fucking insane.
Oh yeah, the wild dogs, the pack of wild dogs.
There are, at first, him and the mayor are driving away, and they almost run over a dog.
Yeah,
like
I want to look that up. Like culturally, is there a problem in Canada with a wild pack of dogs?
It could be. A dog runs after the police car is running away, and like almost gets caught under the tire.
Yeah.
And then runs away, and it's like, all right, that was fucking weird. And then when he goes to get the heart outside of the sheriff's station, dogs are biting at it and stuff like that, and he picks it up, and 2 of the dogs run away. Who, like, it feels like 2 actor dogs run away, and then a feral dog that wandered onto set snaps at him for like a minute, and he's like fucking like kicking at it and stuff like that, like, get out of here. And I'm like, every movie that has a dog in it, it should be a wild dog that you cannot control. I want to be scared anytime I see a dog.
It's scary. They're believable. Give them an Oscar. Another thing I'll say is, like, obviously the mayor and the sheriff kind of play the Loomis sheriff role, and they're doing the same thing where they're like, or I don't know, I can't remember in classic Halloween, but like definitely they're like, let's keep this on the down low. We don't need everybody freaking out. Which I guess is more of even like a Jaws thing, because Jaws is like, we gotta lock down this shark thing so nobody doesn't want to come to our big event. Whatever. So that happens. But basically, they go and they have the party in the mine. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm missing. I mean, there's that one scene where the love interest from the love triangle is walking home alone at night. And this whole time I was like, dude, this is scary. Like, because this part of the town, these are like abandoned buildings. And you're just like, what, raw dogging it out in the street? Like, just full faith in humanity down this road? Like, what the fuck is going on? And then the cop approaches. And it's a genuinely effective jump scare, because for a split second when you see the flashlight, you think that it's the miner, but it's actually him. It's not like the classic like Friday the 13th one where it's like, and it's a cat, and you're like, So, because there's a lot of things like that in the movie that like I think are genuinely done really well. Like I said, like the laundromat kill scene is genuinely good. All of the Valentine's decorations. I think that's something that really gives this movie a big boost and a lot of flavor, is specifically the Valentine Day holiday.
Yeah.
That just looks great. The whole thing. It's like a really good looking and visually pleasing film for sure. And I know I keep saying the same thing over again, but like I said, I like this little town. I like the people in the town. I like the Valentine's Day thing. It's good.
I just remembered who the bartender, the crazy off of this movie. It's like, oh, shouldn't be having this party.
Oh, right. He's like, I'm going to go do a prank.
Exactly. He sets up that prank and opens that door 100 times and goes, every single time. And I love that he gets to walk away and goes,
one more time.
I gotta go one more hit of this. Yeah. And then, it turns out to be actually the miner. So I'm guessing his heart is in the box.
Okay.
The first box you find.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's the laundry lady.
Maybe.
And then his is the first heart. Not important.
But they basically go down into the actual mine to do some partying. Great. I had some Tiger Balm on my hand, and I just touched my eye. My eye feels nice and mentholy now.
Love it.
So that's good. But anyways, so they're down in the mine, and I love the mine also. I never thought I'd say that, but it's old. They go to the oldest part of the mine, and it's covered in some white stuff to keep it from exploding or something.
Limestone.
I
believe that's where I mentioned this on a episode, I want to say forever ago.
Sure.
Where I was like, oh boy, I have like 2% of a fact and I can't remember a lot of it. But I found it out while reading about this movie. They keep film canisters in limestone caves because they're like the perfect temperature that they won't degrade the film at all. So I think all the deleted scenes from 2001: A Space Odyssey are in a limestone cave somewhere.
Yeah, that's something interesting about this movie that you may have read, and I'm actually going to ask you about what you've read. But there's like 9 minutes of this movie that were cut out by the MPAA.
Really?
Yeah, there's 9 minutes of footage out there. And I think there is an uncut version out there with 3 of the 9 minutes restored to it on like Criterion or Blu-ray or something like that. But that didn't even happen until like 2018 or something.
I get that, though, because there's
some pretty gross shit.
I was going to say,
like,
compared
to
gross. All the other slashers we've watched, this one is the least restrained because, like, you hear about that stuff with all the other ones where it's just like you have to cut 5 frames out of this or whatever. And
this one's just like 10 minutes of this has to go. That's crazy.
But even they take out those 10 minutes and like the kills in this movie still get me. And I go, ooh, there's a lot of really good practical effects and stuff in this where like I feel like in Friday the 13th, most of the time it like happens and you see frames of it or like they don't actually show it and it's like, oh well, that's kind of a letdown. Like there's a lot of build up and then it never like explodes.
Yeah.
But even in this, when they are subtle, it works better than like the grossest thing I've seen in a Friday the 13th. Specifically when those two are banging in the shower place, and he leaves to go get beer, and comes back and she's stuck on the shower.
Oh yeah, and the water's just coming out of her mouth.
Yeah, you just see the silhouette of her mouth.
Yeah,
of like
as
her
a faucet.
As a faucet. Like they never actually show you. You just see his face with that like in the corner of the frame.
Yeah,
that's great. I loved it. Yeah.
Also, the hot dog murder where the guy gets drowned in a boiling hot dog water. Disrespectful.
So disrespectful.
I think afterwards he said, "I can think of 1,000 ways to die, and that's got to be the worst way to go." Yeah.
Ugh.
And then later on, when they're like fishing out hot dogs, they fish out his fucking hot dog boiled heart.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Yeah, it's colorless.
That
really got me.
Yeah, like there's shit like that in the movie where it's like, dude, that's literally horrific.
I also really like while they're doing that and the guy like opens the fridge and he's in there and he pulls and he doesn't look. I'm like, that's actually that's a good bit every single time I see it.
Yeah. So yeah, great. And then so they're down in the mine, and then eventually like the love triangle, the main two that are gonna end up together, they realize that like Harry Warden isn't actually back. It's the third part of the love triangle, and he's mad because you find it out at the very end that 14 years ago he watched Harry Warden murder his dad, so now he's Harry Wardening to get revenge or something. Kind of dumb, but whatever. Like I literally don't give a shit. And they also end it on a cliffhanger to set up some sequels, but I don't know if any sequels happen, where they're like, he's still alive down there, and he's like missing an arm, and he's like, I'm gonna get you guys, I'm gonna fucking get you, because he killed my dad, and I'm gonna kill all y'all, you fuckers.
Yeah, and in my memory, he like laughs like Scooby-Doo, and then like kind of skips away.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
The other guy in the love triangle, the not killer one.
Yeah.
Obviously, don't be dressed like a minor while this is happening.
Yeah.
But I love that he puts all that stuff on because he's like, this is serious, but also it's not serious enough for me to button my shirt up all the way.
Right.
Oh my God. And the ascot. I also love that this movie is Canada in 1980.
Yeah.
Probably. So it's basically 1975, the way everybody's dressed, but all the cameras are modern, so it looks like an 80s film, but everyone's dressed like a 70s film. It is really off-putting.
Yeah.
It really bugged me. Also, the mines, I think, are strange because I think the effect that you want from putting setting a movie in a mine is probably claustrophobia. Yeah. And like, I don't know, it feels clear that like there's no way we're getting any of these giant, what we can afford 1980 cameras into a tight space. Yeah. So this is a gymnasium.
They don't really do the claustrophobia thing.
Basically a gymnasium. I also read on IMDb, speaking of things I have read about this movie, I had it pulled up 2 seconds ago, I swear to God. In an interview with TerrorTrap.com, director George Malacca?
Sure.
Said that the shooting location at Sydney Mines, Nova Scotia was chosen because of the rustic atmosphere appearance. However, when the locals found out the movie was being shot there, decided to spend $50,000 to have the mine painted and cleaned. This, of course, diminished the reason the production wanted the location to be used, so they spent $75,000 to
dirty it up. Yeah. Crazy. Also, something else I'm sure you read is that it took like an hour to get down there just to shoot.
No, I didn't read that, but I think they say it in the movie that like, it takes a minute to get down there.
Yeah.
I went to, not a mine, but like a cave, which I think is basically the same thing. There's no money. I don't think there's enough money in the world that you could pay me or whatever life circumstances to pay me to work in a mine. Oh my God, it's so fucking scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you go down on one just for like a one-time effect, like just get a taste?
Oh yeah, no. I mean that's what I'm talking about. With I went to
Mammoth Cave
in Kentucky. It's impressive that you remembered that faster than I did.
Does Mammoth Cave, is that the one? There's one in like Horse Cave, Kentucky, that has the world's like longest underground rope bridge.
I don't know.
I want to go to that.
I didn't see it.
Scary as fuck, dude.
Yeah, it is scary. I didn't go across the rope bridge.
Dude, I might vomit doing it, but I want to.
They, oh my God. In Mammoth Cave, you get led through like a lot of...
What if that's how I died? The rope bridge fucking snapped.
Can you think of a better way?
Hot dog.
Oh my God, you would be the only person that I know, and probably anybody that you know,
that held up a help sign before.
Yes. That died in a way similar to that of Wile E. Coyote or Indiana Jones. Yeah. That'd be so sick.
I guess my tactic would be grab the rope and hope that I could just dangle and then climb back up, maybe?
Yeah, that's the hope. It turns into a rope ladder. And
is that the whole design principle?
I'd like to think so.
Yeah. Built-in safety measure. It becomes a ladder.
In Mammoth Cave, fun fact, it's named Mammoth Cave, not because of the animal, but the word mammoth just meant big. And when they saw the woolly mammoth, they were like, we're going to call that thing big.
Yeah.
So they named the cave first. But it's huge, obviously, because it's a big cave. But like you have to go through a lot of spots that are like the width of your body sideways, so you have to like shuffle through.
That made me throw up.
Yeah, and it was happening, and they told us that there would be a lot of climbing in some tight spaces, and I was like, I'm fine with that, totally. But then like we got in there, and it's pitch black in there because it's a cave, and I was like, oh, I'm for sure freaking out in here, but I didn't say anything.
Yeah, I'd be losing my mind.
A lot of cute stuff everywhere. Like this spot specifically is called the Fat Man's Dilemma. There's a little wooden sign up there that the miners put up forever ago called Fat Man's Dilemma. But they started at the beginning of the tour. They were like, "There's a lot of physical activity in this tour. So if you're old or too young or you don't think you can do that, go back to the counter and get your money back, please." And so I'm squeezing through that, whatever. And of course, there's a million fucking elderly people with us who are like, got it. And I'm stuck in this cave, and the line stops because a bunch of guys have to help pick up an old lady and carry her through some of this cave. And I was like, I'm going to die in here, and I'm going to take these old people with me first.
What do you give My Bloody Valentine?
I'm going to give My Bloody Valentine a C+, just like Goldfinger.
Dang, okay. Yeah, I give mine a B+.
Nice.
For Valentine's Bluff Plus. Well, that's a wrap. Unless you've got some stuff you read about the thing that you want to add in as a little fun fact trivia.
I got nothing for you. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, in the middle we addressed it. Next episode is Thunderball and Saw, and I think that's that kind of puts a bow on it, right? Our business handled.
I believe so. I got nothing else.
All right. Well, then I think as far as my notes indicate, I've run the numbers, I've crunched the graphs, I've held the pie chart sideways, and I think that's that mattress, man. If you need more soup, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or go to our website, eatingsoupalone.com. And until next time,